Alright Bonehawks, this video is all about Quan. I asked you yesterday on the community tab what video you wanted to see first, a matchup chart or his updated cameos, and y'all chose the matchup chart, so we're going to do that today. But I also had some questions regarding his new portal kick. People are very rightfully so confused on kind of how to use it, so I want to kind of give a little rundown on that move and what I've kind of found uses for it first, and then I won't spend too much time on that, and then we'll just get to the list. So yeah, that being said, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
Alright, so in case you didn't know, the new portal move is down forward and then kick, down forward 4, and it's a mid that splats. It's plus 15 on hit and minus 12 on block. So the idea with this move is one more motion check. Okay, so if you've ever been playing somebody and they're like kind of walking forward and just kind of ducking, like you're trying to hit them with there, because that whiffs pretty hard, like you see how much recovery it has there before I'm able to block. So they're going to wait for you to whiff one of that and then punish. Like in Melina's case, she can just roll. So the main thing you kind of want to do is just check people who are doing that with the mid, because it's not really, it's a 5-frame difference, but I haven't found people are really reacting to that yet. The idea is you're trying to catch their movement. You're not really trying to like catch them moving forward or anything. You just want to catch them kind of ducking and kind of moving in and out, that kind of a thing. Because yeah, the tracking on it is not very good. So with that hit advantage, you can do just throw up a portal like that, or 12-frame startup. There's a little bit of recovery depending on the character. You might want to be a little bit careful there. But the idea is just to kind of throw something up in generally a portal, maybe like a cameo move or something. Depending on what cameo you're using. I have Serena right now. So yeah, just get one tiny move off. So that's kind of the main use that I've found for it. There are a couple other niche uses though. Certain cameos that have moves where they kind of stay behind the opponent. Kano's an example. We have Chameleon with this one. Comes in and puts on that buff. We can actually use that to hit both the cameo and the character, which would put the cameo on cooldown. So if you see people using things like that a lot, that's kind of an idea that I've been kind of doing to use. I see it come out. Sub-Zero is another one with Sub-Zero armor. You can come and kick him out of that. But yeah, you kind of have to react to see like the cameo, and of course it is specific on what the cameo is. So that's another use for it. And then as well, you can also frame trap it. So this move here will frame trap into that. They can armor through that. That's pretty risky on their part though. Generally the idea is when I have this up, I'm trying to get a standing 4 into the projectiles. So if they're trying to wait for the standing 4, you could do this into that just to get the splat. Then that would allow you to get that out. And then yeah, this says that it should frame trap, but it doesn't. They can walk forward and avoid out of that. Even though the frames say it is like frame perfect, plus 17 and then 17, whereas this one I believe is 19. Yeah, so you have 2 more frames there. But yeah, that one doesn't, but this one does. So there you go. There are just some uses, but like I said, the main one is like catching people who are trying to make this whiff and come in with this when they duck for the splat. So hopefully you find that helpful. That being said, let's move on to the list. I'm going to say that Quan is using Serena for most of his matchups, because that's like one of his most consistent cameos. Gives him meter, gives him combos off a standing 4, gives him good zoning. So most of this list is just going to be based off, say, using Serena. So let's flip it over to the list. Alright, so here we are. So we're just kind of going through it. We're starting, right at the top we have 7-3, so if Quan wins a theoretical 7 out of 10 matches, that matchup would go there. 6-4, if Quan wins a majority, 6 out of 10 matches. 5-5 is completely even, better player wins. 4-6, Quan is at a slight disadvantage, and 3-7 is Quan is at a fairly hefty disadvantage. So we're just going to go through here. We're starting with Ashra. So Ashra, I have us losing to 4-6. We can't really zone her that much. If we get our purple skulls out, like that can be kind of beneficial, but she does pretty good damage, good counter zoning. Obviously the teleport wake up armor is really good. But yeah, she doesn't really dominate us, but she does a really good job at shutting down our game plan, which is why I think it's 4-6. Baraka is classic zoner versus rushdown. Like this is easily 5-5 in my opinion. We can keep Baraka away. We have many tools to do so, depending on the cameos he's using. But once Baraka gets in, he hits hard, and our health is already low. So Baraka's 5-5 matchup. Some of this will vary a little bit depending on the cameo, so you know it's hard to say like every cameo with every character kind of a thing. I haven't seen them all. But yeah, so Baraka definitely 5-5. As the game's life goes on, his mix gets less and less scary as people get more used to seeing it. So it becomes a little bit less scary. So Ermac is a 4-6 matchup for us. Definitely beats us as far as the anti-zoning goes. You can't really zone him that much, especially when he puts on his little green stuff and runs away. He has really good meter building and pretty good damage. So it's kind of hard for us to really implement our game plan as him. But he doesn't dominate us, similar to Asher. He doesn't dominate us like some of the other characters do. Garrus is a 5-5 matchup. Pretty easy to zone, pretty easy to out-neutral. Might be one of the only matchups. I haven't really played it much since Garrus' most recent changes because he got some new buffs. But it still felt like pretty even as far as, 5-5 matchup. He can mix us in the corner. Again, if he gets in, we have to be careful of his snap move that he does. Usually he's paired with Motaro, so there's also a reflect in there as well. So it does a kind of a good job of kind of countering, but we definitely out-neutral him and definitely out-zone him. So I have him in the 5-5 zone. But again, when he hits hard. He has good mix and good ticks. Good mix, good ticks. I like that. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Havoc is 5-5 as well. The one thing that's interesting about Havoc is even though he's kind of a low-tier character, he does counter Quan quite well. Because our buttons are quite slow, Havoc's are also slow, so the usual disadvantage he gets against that doesn't really apply to us. His projectiles are actually really good at stopping our zoning advances, especially if he can get them started before us. He can definitely steal the zoning advantage back. So yeah, 5-5 matchup. Again, nothing but nice changes with Havoc too as time goes on. From what I understand, not exactly what he needs, but changes are changes. Johnny Cage is still easily 3-7, one of our worst matchups. It does feel a little better with some of the nerfs, like his parry isn't as good, but I mean, he's still like, his movement speed is crazy, he gets in, his mix, he just, yeah, you can't really zone him. It's not really like an if he gets in with Johnny, it's when. And then hits like a truck on top of that. Just an absolute struggle bus matchup for young Quan. Kenshi, kind of a 4-6 matchup. I might entertain 5-5 because we can zone him. Although he does have that annoying rush move that he can just run past us to eat all our projectiles. But then again, you're playing the Kenshi game. When he's in, and you don't really know when it's your turn. So, yeah, I have a slight advantage to Kenshi. I don't think we, if we zone good, then I think that we can keep him away, especially if he gets stuck out mid-screen in his stance without his little dash. Then that becomes a little bit better. But yeah, that's my opinion on that one. 4-6. Katana, I believe, is a 3-7 matchup. Beats us all across the board. We can't really zone her because she's got really good anti-zoning tools. Her damage is insane. Sometimes like full health bar setups, and we already have like pretty low health. So yeah, I do not find this matchup fun at all. I have a fair bit amount of experience playing against Retro in this matchup, and I think I can count on one hand how many games I've taken against him in total. So part of it is obviously Retro's an amazing player, but I feel like I fleshed out the matchup a bit. Kind of know what's going on. Side note, the new portal kick actually works not too bad against her kind of arcing projectile, because before there wasn't really much we could do about it, but now we can actually hit her out of it. The regular one anyway. The enhanced one will still trade with us, so be careful on that. But that was a nice little change to that matchup. Kung Lao, 4-6 matchup. He's a little bit easier to zone out, and his neutral isn't the greatest. So yeah, it's fairly easy to keep him away from you, and then he kind of has to take some risks or use some cameo resource to kind of close the gap. But once he closes the gap, it's pretty toast. We're like really good armor breaking stuff, really quick mix-ups, good Oki, obviously safe armor. Just way more options than what we want to do. And yeah, given that our all of our strings have gaps, that's heyday for Kung Lao. There's really like no risk to him just throwing out armor in the gaps, because, I mean, it's not like we can punish it anyways. So, but like I said, we do have a better full screen presence and do beat him in the neutral, so we have something in that matchup. But yeah, it's a 4-6 matchup. Li Mei is actually not too bad. Li Mei is a 5-5 matchup. It feels pretty even. Kind of similar to like Johnny Cage, where like if she hits us, she's gonna just 2-touch our health bar with her combos. But we'd actually do a pretty decent job at keeping her away, and she's got to be kind of risky sometimes in the neutral, especially with her like flying kick. So if you get that out, you block it, punish, send her full screen again, and then she's got a barrage of things to worry about before she can even get back in. But again, 2-touch character, touches you twice, we're dead. So it's just a little bit more difficult for her to get in on this than some other characters like Ermac or Asha, for example. So that's why I kind of have her at the 5-5 territory. Next is Liu Kang, and Liu Kang is actually a really tough matchup for us, but I'm not sure that I put him in the 3-7. It definitely feels on the more difficult side of the 4-6, because we do have a couple different... He counter zones us very well. Like, he's very good with his projectiles, and of course he's got the best strike throw in the game, in my opinion, which once he gets in, he's going to. Full screen combo launchers, paired with all sorts of cameos. He's definitely a problem. Doesn't feel as difficult as, like, say, Johnny or Katana or something like that. So I don't want to put him quite in that tier, but he is very, very strong against Quan Chi. So I don't know if y'all feel the same, different, whatever. But yeah, that's how I feel on Liu Kang. Melina. The problem with Melina is, like, everything that she does is pretty much unsafe. But we don't really hit that hard, depending on what we're doing, right? So we can't zone her because she's got too many mobile moves. Again, they're all unsafe, but a good Melina will kind of play and react accordingly. Make reads on your... so she kind of shuts down that game. But yeah, the risk reward for her is... It's a little less because of Quan's low damage. So it's just not that scary for her. And especially with cameos that can cover that kind of stuff anyways. So yeah, our main game plan of zoning is shut down. But it's not a blowout matchup by any means. It's totally winnable. And yeah, you might just have to spend a little bit of extra meter on different things other than our zoning and stuff. So this is all from my perspective and my experience, by the way. Your experience may differ. So Natara I actually had as an even matchup until after the most recent updates to her. I think she kind of slightly beats us. Bigger damage, and her flight can actually, like, straight up avoid a lot of our projectiles, which is very annoying. I don't like that at all, because she can just go, like, float way higher than it. It has to be timed, and, you know, but good Nataras are going to do that. That's kind of assuming that the player is going to play the character as good as they can, and then yeah, she just hits like a truck. Same idea. The saving grace in this matchup is that we both are low health characters, so we have a little bit better of a chance because we don't quite have to hit her as hard. So there's that on our side that kind of keeps the matchup from being any worse. But I do think that Natara has a slight advantage. And keep in mind that, you know, 4-6 is a slight advantage. Like, I'm not saying that it's unwinnable at all at any time in the future. But yeah, I think this matchup, I think I had this at 5-5 in my first matchup chart, but it's definitely moved down to 4-6. Omni-Man isn't really that scary. Although we can't really zone him, we have some good options against him, and he can tend to be pretty unsafe sometimes. The standing 4, beating out the Viltrumite stance, is like super duper good in this matchup. And even with our new move, like I tested it, if he does a Viltrumite stance in the air, we can do the new portal kick to splat him on the ground. Outside of that, so you could splat him on either. I tested it in the air and it tracks him up into the air, so that's kind of useful. We can zone him a little bit again because we don't really care about Viltrumite stance as much. And then yeah, he's unsafe. He has some good mix with Lao, which doesn't put him out of the contention by any means. But yeah, he's just not that scary. Peacemaker, and I think that this is a favorable matchup for us. Some may call me crazy, but this character got gutted to the point where 100% kind of plays to our strengths and kind of what we want to do. All the anti-zoning stuff that they gave him is kind of null and void. Not completely, but just not really intimidating at all. Torpedo is now pretty big risk on that one. And then that was something that we could punish before anyways, because even if, like, Even if he whiffed over top of us, we still have standing 4 that would track. And now we even have our new portal kick, which you can use to punish that if you just want to get some sort of a punish on something like that, to make it a little bit easier. So another unintended use for that move that I kind of forgot about until just now. But yeah, I have Peacemaker as a solid 6-4 for us. Mirror match is obviously 7-3. I'm just kidding. I'm just going to put it up there to make it look like that. Raiden is a advantage to Raiden for sure. Damage, good pressure, good cameo synergy, safe mix. Although not quite the threat he was at one point in time, still definitely makes it hard for us to win. Even if he has enough of a life lead, he can do a really good job of running away and just like Supermaning over us to cross to the other side. And of course he's got a teleport as well. So he's very annoying and makes us play a completely different game plan. Although not a completely nullified game plan, it's a lot different than what our strengths are, which is why I have them kind of in the 4-6 range. Rain is dead even. I think it's 5-5. They have similar game plans, similar things they want to do. Rain is a little bit better up close, I would say, with a little bit, especially with his new cancels and stuff that he has. But it doesn't really feel, especially if we can knock him full screen, definitely we're able to play our game against him because of our multiple projectiles that hit his water shield out. We do have to be a little bit careful of the low trap, but I mean that's just par for the course. That's just kind of how the matchup goes. So it's yeah, I think it's pretty even. Just whoever executes a game plan better is the victor in that one. Reiko is also 5-5. He can kind of challenge our zoning a little bit with his shurikens. I find that it's he's a little bit scary in that department, especially if he has the health lead. That can be kind of crazy, especially with the meter build and the enhanced one and all that kind of stuff. He can be a little bit scary there. But all in all, we have more ways of getting the zoning going than he does, especially with Push Away Portal and Bone Dome are two very, very good things that you want to be using against Reiko. Like, you really want to keep him away and keep him... Bone Cage, like initially, because that will swallow up his projectile if he tries to do it. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. And I find if you're just kind of spamming it on them, eventually they'll start to jump. You do have to be careful that you're not spamming too much, because then he'll just jump and punish you. So use it strategically, and again, in tandem with the push away portal, those two things are very, very good against Reiko. But again, he's got really good mids, really good staggers, really good mix-ups, including a throw. So once he gets in, it's kind of party time. So I think it's, again, similar to Baraka, perfect zoner versus rushdown kind of idea. Reptile beats us pretty handily, 6-4, Reptile's favor. Just bigger damage, really good neutral tools, now invisible 50-50s. So yeah, Reptile is definitely the victor in that one. Not really much more to say there. It's not exactly a fun matchup. I'm not very good at the matchup, in my defense as well. I kind of suck, but I don't think that's why I'm putting this there. I'm really theory crafting off the tools that the character has, and I think that he just kind of will beat us six times out of 10. So Scorpion feels... I need a little bit more time with the new Scorpion. I'm going to put him as 5-5 because that's how it felt before. But he's received some really nice changes lately that might give him a slight advantage over us. But yeah, our standing 4 being able to punish the spear from anywhere on screen is really, really good and shuts down on one aspect of his game. Can't just be throwing out spears because you're going to get punished. And depending on the cameo, that could be a lot of damage. Like Shujinko, we can do standing 4 into spear. Motaro or Kung Lao, we can do standing 4 into Bone Dome, into Teleport, into full combo punish. So yeah, he's really got to be careful with that. And with the back 3, although the new back 3 cancel is actually pretty useful, especially cameo dependent. So that's a nice option for him to have that really kind of wins him over, I think. So I don't know. I think it might be slight favor for Scorpion, but as of right now, I'm just going to leave it even. And I'll get some more experience with it. Shang feels pretty even. Might be a slight advantage to us. The only thing is that Shang in old form just hits like a truck. Like 430 damage easily. Doesn't even really need to use meter. It's disgusting. Gets restands. Can turn into us with a damage boost. So that's a nice, convenient option. And has some good counter zoning as well to go along. Can't really zone us out. Kind of just wants to kind of two-hit us, similar to some other heavy-hitting characters. But yeah, I think it's even. General Shao is a problem. You need to keep him away or he's winning. That's basically how it goes. He has insane health pool, especially now with Farah. You put Farah on General Shao, that's plus 150 health. That's going to take us forever to zone him, and the longer that we need to zone him, the more time he has to get in our face, do safe 50-50s, into big damage, melt our health bar. So easily advantage for General Shao. If it wasn't for kind of his bit of a movement hindrance there, I'd put it in the 3-7. But because we can zone him out, we just have to be smart about it, make sure that we don't corner ourselves. I do think it's not a complete blowout in his favor, but you have to play this matchup really well and really on point, because yeah, Quan Chi does not stack up to the normals that General Shao has. Sindel is the same kind of idea, hits super duper hard. She can kind of counter zone us a little bit with her enhanced projectile, and then she's also got her air projectiles as well. So it's not quite as hard for her to get in as General Shao, but she's a little bit harder to open up to get some damage going against us. And again, but when she does, she's going to hit you like a truck. Big damage. I was doing some of the Shujinkydink combos against Takeda, and it's like 578 or something like that into a restand. That's, yeah. So she hits really hard, but yeah, we still are able to zone her out. We just have to do it smartly, and then we can always throw out Big Chompy to try and contest with her enhanced projectile. So there's that as well. Smoke is another one of the 3-7 variety. I think this is personally Quan Chi's hardest matchups. He just has so much mobility. He can go invisible into all sorts of things. Really good like screw neutral tools that can move around our projectiles. Really good teleports. He's just super annoying. Really good staggers, really good damage. Like everything that like directly counters us, Smoke does it. So I think actually Smoke is probably Quan Chi's worst matchup. Has been since release, continues to be now. Everyone says, you know, buff Smoke. Quan Chi players out here being like, no, don't do that. We don't need that. Our life is hard enough. Sub-Zero, 5-5. A little bit annoying with Chameleon, but we can zone him out fairly easily. We just got to be aware of the ice balls, especially enhanced ice ball. And a lot of the times we can put down the enhanced bone dome to kind of catch any random slides that they're coming in. And depending on the cameo you're using, that can lead to a full combo if they go for it. So just have to be aware of the dive kicks and all that kind of stuff. Still kind of obnoxious with him. And then, yeah, with Chameleon is probably where he's most annoying. But I don't really see this too much of a... Because of his slower strings and stuff, our armor portal, if he gets in on us, is really good for that. Really easy to interrupt his strings if we have that on us. So generally, I'll just do my best to zone. When I see that he's starting to close the distance, I'll throw up an armor portal, the enhanced one right in front of me, and then one of two things happen. They either get brave and try and challenge the armor portal and we get our punish, or they completely back off. This is a strategy I've used a lot. And it's like as soon as you put that on the screen, they're like a moth, like the opposite of moths to flame. Like they're away from, they want to get the hell out of that. They'll go stand full screen, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep zoning you. And then when that portal goes away, they start to come back in. So they get close, boom, rinse and repeat. Because I've probably built the bar back from zoning to throw out another portal. So yeah, that's my general strategy against that. Lastly, Tanya. This is another really unfun matchup, probably on the harder side of 4-6. But yeah, I think Tanya beats us pretty handily. Another one that's difficult to zone because her projectile will eat through cameos and our projectiles, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, she can eat cameos. She has really good staggers, really good pressure, really good damage, certain safety with like Goro and that kind of a thing. That's it. That's my end of my matchup chart with Quan Chi. As you can see, I have us with only one winning matchup. This character is definitely a struggle. I still do think he's on the lower end of the roster as far as skill-wise goes, but I do think that with the recent changes with all the cameos, he has more options on things that he can do. Like I would never have used Motaro before with him because of the 850 health thing, but now because of that teleport change, it's just so easy. Like you just zone yourself to get to the corner, boom, teleport out. you're going back the other way. Boom, teleport out, you're going back the other way. So there's different changes like that have kind of helped him out a bit. I don't think his portal kick really helped him out much. It gave him a couple more options in some very niche scenarios, but not really the be-all end-all change. So yeah, let me know what you think of the list. If some characters should be higher, lower, whatever. Right now, I think Peacemaker is the only one that we actually truly beat. So, that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.